Here's a perfect example. There's Something About Mary is a movie about a guy. Oh my god, there's so much truth bombs in this movie. If you're fucking know what's up. Okay, there's two truth bombs. I gotta say them both so I don't forget. One of them is regarding the private investigator tricking Ben Stiller. The other is the private investigator tricking Mary, Cameron Diaz. So, and when he tricks Ben Stiller figures out the trick, but he falls for the trick within the trick. And that's what's so brilliant in that movie, whether they intended it or not. It's a hilarious joke, so they did intend it. Hilarious joke. But the joke is, spoilers, Ben Stiller is obsessed with his ex high school girlfriend, Mary, who it didn't end well with. And that's funny as well. But so he hires a private investigator to find out where she lives, and to because he can't. He like loves her still. The private investigator says, "Okay, I'll go check her out. She's in Florida or something. I'll go check her out." The private investigator flies down to Florida. I think they're in like San Francisco or something. Flies down to Florida and sees Cameron Diaz and falls in love with her because there's something about Mary. That's the movie. Everyone falls in love with her. She's lovely. Now, the private investigator um, is in love with her. He's spying on her, learning about what kind of guy she's looking for because she's single, and he realizes she's the perfect girl, and he wants her to choose him, right? So he goes back to his office in San Francisco. He tells Ben Stiller she's fat, she has kids, and um, sorry for the bad news. Ben Stiller says, and this is not in his office, this is like when they're meeting. Ben Stiller says, "Okay, well, thank you for telling me that," but he's shocked, and he's like, "I'll think about it." And then, but the PI is trying to scare Ben Stiller away to get rid of the competition. Now, so that's the lie. He's tricking Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller the next day says, he comes to his office and says, "You know what? I really want to follow up with Mary. I don't care that she's fat and has kids. I just really loved her in high school, and I wanna see her for myself." So, um, he tells her she's in a wheelchair. Anyway, she, she he's just lying to him, right? The PI is lying. I wish I knew his name. He's lying to Ben Stiller, and he's leaving the office. He's packed up his office. He's quit his job as a private investigator to go move down to Florida to court Mary. When Ben Stiller comes up and says, "I want to try again," or "I want to try with Mary anyways. Give me her address." So he makes up some shit like he lies again. And the second lie is, "Oh, well, she's going to Fiji or Australia for a year." And also he's like, "Why are you leaving your office and quitting?" And he said, "Oh, I got a job with Rice Aroni." He just throws out Rice Aroni. And this is where the joke comes in. It's he's lying about where Mary is, what she's doing, who she is, and what he's doing and where he's going. He's lying. The reason why he's going is not for a job with Rice Aroni. He made that up on the spot, okay? So later on in the movie, Ben Stiller finds Mary, and or he hears from someone else who knows Mary, and the friend who went to high school with him who saw Mary recently says, "Oh my God, she's a surgeon and she's still as hot as she was when she was 18 and in high school." And then he goes, "Oh my God." Ben Stiller goes, "Oh my God, that PI was lying to me. And then the joke is, he says, he went down there, he didn't even look Mary up. He was just trying to get his job with Rice-A-Roni. Okay. So, Ben Stiller, upon receiving information that clearly shows that the private investigator was lying to him, he then constructs a scenario where he thinks he has it figured out, but he's way off still, based on the sheer amount of lies that guy told him. So Rice-A-Roni was a lie, but in the face of his Mary lie, Ben Stiller thinks that it wasn't that the PI is in love with Mary and lying about him to get him off the trail and lying about Rice-A-Roni and moving down there. Ben Stiller's level 2 realization, level 1 is believing the PI, level 2 is realizing he's lying and thinking that it was the Rice-A-Roni job that the private investigator was really working on in Florida, and the private investigator didn't even look Mary up, and he was just conning Ben Stiller to take his money, and he just made up some things about Mary because his motivations were to seem legitimate so he could take his money. But it had nothing to do with him falling in love with Mary and moving down there to be with Mary. That didn't even occur. The truth, even upon learning the lie, the truth never even occurred to Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller just fell for an even deeper lie and thought he was full of shit. He was with his Rice-A-Roni people the whole time. So the joke, when Elon watches that movie, the joke is people are so clueless and bad at telling deception that even when confronted with a fact that contradicts the deception, they will just fall into the second web of deception laid out by the liar. It never even occurs to them. It never even occurs to Ben Stiller that the PI did see Mary and purposely said the opposite of what she is, and quit his job so he could go be with her and no one else could be with her. Okay, and that brings me to my second truth drop in the movie. The PI guy is, and this is what the government does. This is what I'm talking about. There's something about the government. There's something about Mary. There's something about that private investigator. Okay, the PI guy has his PI skills to use to get with Mary. So he learns that she wants an architect. And so he pretends to be an architect, for example. He also learns that he's been exposed. An architect friend of Mary's, who's also in love with Mary and lying, but we don't know that yet. It's a great movie. The architect friend of Mary's tells Mary, that architect guy you're seeing is not a real architect. He's lying. I looked into it. He's a liar. And he's a murderer. He makes up some shit. The private investigator is... okay, maybe that's... I'm getting confused. But there is a point where... My point is, the private investigator overhears Mary saying, hey, I just learned that the guy I'm supposed to go out with tonight is actually a con artist. Like, he's actually not an architect, right? Okay. She learns he's not an architect, and she's not going to go out with him anymore. And then the girls are sitting around saying, I can't believe he's such a liar, right? Now, the private investigator guy plays this to his advantage, where he switches to another lie. And his second lie is, I'm in the Peace Corps. and I lied about being an architect because I was trying to impress you. But the truth is, I am a Peace Corps person who builds houses for the less fortunate, right? So, in the way he does this is he writes a script for him and his friend to read. And he knows that Mary's friend has a police radio monitor where they can listen to other people's phone calls. So he purposely has a dummy phone call with his friend where him and his friend are talking about Mary and him not being an architect. And the friend is like, why didn't you tell her you weren't an architect? When and and the friend goes, wouldn't she like that you're in the Peace Corps? And he goes, well, I didn't think she'd appreciate, me doing that. And, it's really just between me and the children in Africa. And it's not to get girls with. So he makes up this bullshit phone call that he knows she'll hear. So that even though he's caught in one lie, he's caught her in another. Just like he did to Ben Stiller. He double lied to both of them, and both lies worked, and then they had the backup lie also worked both times. So that's what the government does, is they will come right out and lie. And then if anyone discovers the lie, they'll fall into the second lie. And there's layers of lies. And it's so masterful. It's just like the PI guy, but with a $1 trillion budget. And Satan. The master of deception at the helm. So there's something about the government. Maybe I'll title it that. I gotta write that down. There's something about the government. Thus spoke Elon. That's the title of this. Alright, we're almost done. Number 15 is disinformation, manipulation on manipulation, just like I was talking about. There's traps for people who don't fall into the first trap. Like QAnon or whatever.